Well, thanks for clicking on to the first summer edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It is Wednesday, the 1st of June 2022. What you're looking at is the video from this day last year talking about the summer forecast 2021 from the English Channel. I was travelling between Cannes and Portsmouth coming back from France, and not so this year. I'm actually spending the day travelling up from Keighley in North Yorkshire, West Yorkshire, and I had a load coming up to a place in the Muir of Ord, which is near Inverness. So, summer forecast I released yesterday. In fact, it was last night, and after a very long day, my head was mince by the time I got to bed last night, just trying to put the final touches together for the summer forecast of 2022. So I'm going to actually quickly flick through the forecast and just discuss somewhat what has been written. So I have a quick glance back at what took place last year. Very different story last year with a few things. And the first thing that I point out in the article, please do check out markvoganweather.com, and that is freely available for you to read at your leisure. These were the surface temperatures, sea surface temperature anomalies actually for 2021 on May 30th. And you notice here that we've got some pretty cold waters surrounding the UK and across much of the North Atlantic, whereas this time around, as of the same day, we've got the opposite taking place. We've got some very warm waters over the North Atlantic. Cool pool to the south of Greenland here. If you notice here, we've got arguably a slight warm pool to the south of Greenland for this day last year. So the complete opposite sea surface temperature anomaly this year compared to last year. I also show you that this was the year-to-date temperature anomalies over Europe, and yeah, colder than normal. This time around, we have, along with the sea surface temperature profile, the complete opposite. A very warm front running 5 months to 2022. And with the warm waters in the North Atlantic and surrounding the UK, warm continent, there is really no reason to believe that we have got any sort of real change taking place as we go forward. That being said, warm water can do two things. It can increase atmospheric pressure and actually provide really hot, dry, sunny conditions, but it also can equally bring the opposite. It can actually lower pressure over those abnormally warm waters and increase the rainfall around the British Isles. And of course, when you get low pressure, it feeds back on that warmer than normal water, and you actually have enhanced rainfall over a given area. So yeah, there is a bit of a crossroads situation here. I do believe that it is going to be a warmer than normal summer, and it's going to follow the long-term trend of the last decade or so with warmer than normal summers. The biggest question for me personally is, are we going to see an increase in rainfall with those warm waters? And I think a lot of it is going to be down to the Madden-Julian oscillation, and as well as that, it's also going to go down to the tropics. The North Atlantic hurricane season, or the Atlantic hurricane season, is expected to be a more active season compared to normal. And of course, you would expect as we go from mid to late summer into the autumn that we increase tropical cyclone activity within the main development region of the North Atlantic. Of course, that then leads to alterations in the mid-latitude pattern, because of course tropical cyclones release tremendous amounts of heat, and especially if they recurve over the western North Atlantic, releasing that heat northwards towards the pole, we then have a situation where it enhances not only high pressure, even high latitude blocking potentially, but also low pressure as well. So troughiness and ridging can be enhanced quite significantly by what goes on within the tropics here. So these are little things that we need to keep an eye on. Also, the solar situation is quite important as well, because we're actually pretty much at the same level as what you would expect back in 2011 with the last cycle, which was 24. We're now well into cycle 25, which commenced around 2019, if my memory serves me correctly. And if you notice here this chart of NASA, here is where we are right here. And it looks as if you go back to 2011, we're kind of on par with that period of time. Now, back in 2011, we came off a cold winter. We also came off a very dry spring. We also had a La Nina. So there's a few things that taken place. We had a warm winter this year, so that doesn't match up. We had a dry spring, that matches up. We also had a La Nina, that too matches up. However, if you go back to summer 2011, it was actually the UK's coldest in 18 years. That goes against what I believe is going to take place. And the reason why I strongly believe that that is not going to be the case is because we've got a very different sea surface temperature anomaly backdrop, i.e. waters globally as well as in the North Atlantic are much, much warmer than they were a decade or 11 years ago. So this is where I believe that the warmer than normal summer is going to come in. Doesn't necessarily mean, however, that every month, so June, July, and August are all going to be warmer than normal. And there is nothing clear cut. It is not as simple as saying we're going to get hot, dry, or cool, wet, or whatever. It's obviously a lot more complicated than that. And if you notice here that within the article here, sorry about this, it's probably not the best quality here. You notice here that the UAH satellite-based temperature of the lower atmosphere. Notice here the difference between 2011 and 2022. So 2011 here, we came off a pretty cold period actually within the lower troposphere. So oceans were cooler, the atmosphere was cooler as well. Of course, remember you have to go back to 2014. November 2014 is the last time that we had globally a cooler than normal month. That is a long time ago, and we've had a lot of increased warmth. We have had decreases in the temperature within the lower troposphere. We've also had the increase, but these decreases, you notice here, is setting a new plateau. They're staying above the average line, and that's quite important here. So overall, ocean atmosphere warmer than normal, despite the fact that we've got a similar solar situation to back in 2011. So it's going to be rather interesting to see as we go forward. So I have a little bit of a spiel here explaining what I think is the case, and I want you to check that out if you can. And then I'll also share what the modelling is indicating. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart here of the CFSV2 for the month of June. Keeping an eye on this trough, by the way. I think in June we're going to have a bit of a battle between hot continental high pressure and Atlantic low pressure. I think Atlantic low pressure is going to have going to try to push into western portions of Europe, and I think we could have a fight between the hot over the continent and the unsettled low pressure driven pattern over the Atlantic. I think that's where June is going, where we could have this battle with spells of hot conditions coming up from Africa through Spain, Portugal, France, and into the UK. But I think there is going to be that continued threat of the Atlantic during the month of June. Precipitation-wise, drier than normal, as you can see here, warmer than normal of the model, as you can see. The month of July, I'm very, very, very unsure about the month of July. I think, really, truthfully, I think it could go either way. I think we could have a a pretty hot July with prolonged spells of sunshine and dry conditions. Equally, we could have a bit of a blip, and we actually could have quite a disappointing July. I'm very, very split between the two in terms of where we're going with the month of July. I'm struggling with that one. You can see here drier than normal. A mixed picture, if you notice here, across much of the continent. Warmer than normal temperature-wise here. August. This is the month that I believe will be more unsettled. I think the tropics are going to have an influence on the pattern. I do think low pressure is going to be more of an influence over the British Isles. The reason why I think that is because we're going to warm up the sea surface temperatures through June and July, and then by August, when temperatures kind of generally get close to the peak in terms of warmth, I think the atmosphere is going to change and adjust, and a lot of that adjustment is going to be actually driven by the tropics, Madden-Julian oscillation, and cyclone activity within the tropical belt. So that is the reason why I think we're going to see the biggest change during August. Wetter than normal, seen by the model as you can see here, and arguably there is an area of near cooler than normal seen by the model as well. So that's quite interesting. So there you go, a quick and dirty discussion with regards to the summer. I am in a bit of a rush, so unfortunately I'm going to have to cut the video off now, but I will look at this over the next couple of days. Jubilee weekend coming up. I know it starts tomorrow, but I will have a video tomorrow discussing what the pattern is expected to be. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and please, of course, like, share and subscribe, and keep it right here. Bye for now.